Please join in our gathering hymn, everyone, Abide with Me. Good morning, everyone, and please be seated. Welcome here to First Unitarian Church. We're a multi-generational community that strives to nurture the individual spirit and together build a beloved community. Welcome all gathered here. Welcome those joining us online. Welcome to this special All Souls service, when we name and honor those in our community and in the larger world who have died in this past year. Following the service, I invite you to join fellow congregants for a social hour that will be right below this sanctuary in Fuller Hall. And I want to issue a special invitation if you're new among us today or back after some time. I'd like to invite you to join Jen Thomas, our membership engagement coordinator, and I for a welcome circle. We'll be in this gallery to my left, and we'll just form a circle and have a chance to meet you and see what questions you have about our congregation. So join us right after the service. This is the last Sunday for Cassandra Sheffman, our Director of Family Ministries. This is her last Sunday here at the church. You can still thank Cassandra for her time here at the church by writing on the kudo board that's been set up for her. The link is in this week's front steps. You can also stop by the RE reception desk in our Buchanan building. We'll be turning those notes of gratitude into a keepsake book for her. We send forth Cassandra now with our blessings this week. If you've been around the last couple of weeks, you probably know that we are in our season of giving here at the church. Sharing our heart's treasure is our theme this year, and a reminder that if you pledge by next Sunday, now that's November the 5th, you will be entered into a drawing for an iPad 10. Or a dinner at a restaurant of your choice with Reverend Allison, or a beautiful handmade ceramic chalice. Now, if you're one of those folks who has a sustaining pledge, a pledge that keeps repeating until you tell us otherwise, you're already entered into the drawing. We added those prizes this year just to have some fun with our campaign, but really the campaign is about giving from our hearts to fund this community that we love. And on this All Souls Sunday, we remember those who have sustained this community from one generation to another. Without their vision and without their gifts, this community would not be what it is today. So I hope you will join me in sharing what you can to make this congregation strong by making a gift to our campaign. And with that, I'm pleased to introduce Bill Cunningham, who's going to offer a testimony this morning.
First of all, I want you to know that I'm a proud sustaining member of First Unitarian Church and encourage you to explore how you can sustain the church within your means and share your heart's treasure. Now for an explanation of the pictures you see behind me. The one on your left is me and my grandfather, William N. Cunningham, for whom I am named. It was taken in 1952. If you're doing the mental math, that was 71 years ago. The other picture is of, you probably recognize the Elliott Chapel. Let me explain the connection between these photos, as well as the yellow box outlining the foundation of the Elliott Chapel. As I reflect on the photo of me and my grandfather, and considering the smile on my face, I think he was tickling my bottom. He was a long-time educator. My mom used to tell me he was very stern, but soft as butter on the inside, particularly when it came to me. One way he showed his soft side was by hiding candy in his coat pocket for me to find. On my 5th birthday, April 12th, 1957, and note the month and day for your records, he wrote me a note, and here's what it said. Dear Billy, or as the little old Italian ladies in the Northern California town where I grew up called me, Billy. Just a little remembrance of your 5th birthday. May all your days be days of usefulness. Do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with thy God. Remember that true love is the greatest force in the world. Much love from your failing granddad, W.N. Cunningham. And yes, there is an E on the end of Cunningham. What does his sweet note have to do with the Elliott Chapel? Well, here's a little more background. I moved to Portland in the spring of 2000 to begin working from home. I was an early adopter. That summer, I attended the Pride Festival on the waterfront and picked up a list of welcoming churches in the Portland area as I was interested in finding a new spiritual home. I had extricated myself from the church of my youth and longed for a religious versus spiritual, as our intern minister Danielle Garrett shared in her sermon several weeks ago. Community that supported and welcomed me as an out queer man, I decided to visit the various congregations on the list to see which one would be a good fit for me and them. As I recall, First Unitarian was the third church on the list. And in the summer of 2000, Sunday services were actually held in the Elliott Chapel next door. The first service I attended was led by the then intern minister, Rob Hardees, a gay man who went on to serve as senior minister at All Souls Unitarian Church in Washington, D.C. On my second visit, I learned our senior minister, Reverend Marilyn Sewell, was a divorced former Catholic, and the associate minister was a gay man. Then on my third visit, I noticed a Bible verse inscribed on the foundation of the Elliott Chapel. It's outlined in the yellow in the picture. It's from Micah chapter 6, verse 8, and reads, "What doth the Lord require of thee, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God?" Though I didn't recognize the verse at first, it sounded familiar. When it dawned on me where I had read it before, it was like an affirmation from my grandfather, 43 years after he wrote my birthday note. I knew then that I'd found my new spiritual home. Next to meeting my husband in 2003, it was one of the best discoveries of my life. I've learned so much from the many congregants and staff that I've gotten to know and love here at First Unitarian. Though my grandfather may not have been thinking of influencing my search for a new spiritual home when he wrote that note, I am forever grateful he said what he did. His note is a reminder that I am not here for myself, but to serve others. My involvement at First Unitarian has helped me become a more enlightened and compassionate human being. Now, in conclusion, may you also experience personal growth through your involvement with the church. May all of our days be days of usefulness, and may we all do our part to make the world a more just and merciful place. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Let's take some time now to greet one another as we gather today. Bill Cunningham and his husband Steve Nelson are going to light our chalice today. We are Unitarian Universalists. We light this chalice in faith, in hope, and in love. Words for our call to worship come from writer Alice Walker. To acknowledge our ancestors means we are aware that we did not make ourselves, that the line stretches all the way back, perhaps to God or to gods. We remember them because it is an easy thing to forget that we are not the first to suffer, rebel, fight, love, and die. The grace with which we embrace life, in spite of the pain, the sorrow, is always a measure of what has gone before. As we gather in this season of All Souls, let us worship here together. And let us sing together now the hymn, Comfort Me. Please rise in body and in spirit. Let's join now in our responsive reading by poet May Sarton, All Souls. Did someone say that there would be an end, oh, an end to love and mourning? What has been once so interwoven cannot be raveled, nor the gift ungiven. Now the dead move through all of us, still glowing. Mother and child, lover and lover mated are wound and bound together and inflowing. What has been plaited cannot be unplaited. Only the strands grow richer with each loss. And memory makes kings and queens of us. Dark into light, light into darkness spin. When all the birds have flown to some real haven, we who find shelter in the warmth within listen and feel new cherished, new forgiven, as the lost human voices speak through us and blend our complex love, our mourning without end. Let's sing together now our doxology, Spirit of Life. Each week when we gather, we make space to share the concerns of our community life together. A reminder that pastoral care is available through our ministers and lay ministers in this congregation. Today we're lighting candles of intention here in front, and there'll be a time later in the service to do that. And you're always welcome to send a prayer intention to be held by our ministers and lay ministers to prayer@firstunitarianportland.org. One concern to name this morning, we hold member Bert Burney this morning. Bert's mother, Ethel Weber Burney, died on October 3rd at the age of 97 after a brief illness. Bert says his mother had a full and wonderful life and was with Bert and his wife Elizabeth Leach here in Portland these last 2 years of her life. We hold them today. Will you join me now in prayer? Spirit of life and of love, God of many names and of no name at all, hear our prayers this day. There are so many intentions we bring, Spirit. Prayers for our lives, prayers for our community, prayers for our city, prayers for our world. Yesterday, the war in the Middle East entered a new and devastating stage with Israel's push into Gaza. We hold especially all the innocents in harm's way there. Today, too, we hold all those in harm's way in Ukraine as yet another winter comes. Spirit, help us to be healers. Help us to be peacemakers. Help us to be justice makers. Help us to see in others ourselves. Help us to bring love into this hurting world. Help us to build on the lessons of those who have gone before us. Help us dare to imagine a world where love is possible. Help us to imagine a world where all your children are well, where all your children know themselves to be blessed. Amen. Let's take a few moments now to be together in silence. Each week in our service, we take an offering to support the ministry of this church. Today, half of our plate collection will go to support the music ministry of First Unitarian Church. We are blessed to have the gifts of music here in our community, and most of all on days like this one, for the music offered on Sundays, and for the community built in our choirs, and the gifts that come from our music. If you'd like to give electronically, you can find a QR code on the screen shortly or in a yellow strip in the chairs around you. And if you're here in person, our ushers will be coming through shortly. Thank you for your generosity that sustains the ministry of this congregation. The hymn that we sang at the beginning of our service this morning, Abide with Me, has become one of my favorites through the years, and most of all at this time of year. The words were written by a Scottish Anglican cleric named Henry Francis Lyte and were published in 1847. That was as Lyte approached his death from tuberculosis. But they originated, the story goes, as Lyte sat by the bedside of his dear friend William Augustus LaHunt as he lay dying some years earlier. It was LaHunt who kept repeating the phrase, "Abide with me, abide with me." Lyte wrote the hymn right after his friend's death and gave a copy to LaHunt's family. But it was many years later, when his own life was coming to an end, that Lyte recalled those words and the scripture upon which they were based from the Gospel of Luke, in which the disciples asked Jesus to abide with them as evening as their end approached. The hymn, the story goes, was first sung at Lyte's funeral, and through the years it has become more and more popular. Every year at this service, we remember those who have died in our congregation in the last year. We also name those in our closest circle and some from the larger public realm who have died. This is a tender time as we remember them. And perhaps the prayer that God, that Spirit, that the love we have known and still know, that we are held close by that love. Abide with us. Abide with us. In our responsive reading today from May Sarton's All Souls, it asks the question whether there will be an end to love and mourning. And perhaps it's on mornings like this one when we're especially aware of the reality that love and mourning are so very much part of our lives, that in our living we carry with us those we have known, the losses that have come with our living, with those that come recently, with those losses that can go back a long, long time. Those losses are part of what makes up the fabric of our lives. Dark into light, light into darkness spin, says the poet. Sometimes when it feels as if the world is spinning out of control, I know it is helpful for me to think about those who have gone before me. It can be so easily to feel isolated in our grieving, in our trying to hold all the events of our world. I think about all the wise and beautiful people I have known through the years in this community, and their wisdom, their care, the love they brought into my life and into the lives of so many others. I once heard it described as them being a great cloud of witnesses who bless us in our living. Their love continues even after death. Even after death. Of course, that is one of the paradoxes of life, isn't it? If we hadn't loved, would we feel so much pain from their loss? In a piece in Sojourners magazine this week, the writer Sandy Oval Martinez talks about the power of Dia de Muertos, the observance of the Day of the Dead, and the power that it has had in her life as those who have died are remembered every year in this season. How her family tradition is to take time to commune with the ancestors, to remember them for all of the blessings they brought. But Martinez says something interesting, that in the Western Protestant Christianity, from her experience, we're asked to mourn fast and not to dwell on our losses too much, that can somehow be seen as a loss of faith or a lack of faith. That moving on is where we need to focus our energy, is so often the message that we receive. But Martinez talks about the yearly ritual of honoring her grandmother, her abuela, and how part of the grieving process is continuing to express the love we did not get to give. That part of this season is making a space to express that love which we did not get to give. Dia de Muertos is another opportunity to nourish those relationships that we hold dear. A prayer, if you will, that the love we have known, that those we have loved will continue to abide with us, that with time, the hurt may not be quite so strong, that with time, what most of all endures is that love. And so we join together this morning. As we do that, may we bring all of those memories, may we bring all of that love into this space of love and mourning. We sometimes talk about this being a community of memory and hope, that we make here a space to bring our memories, we make here a space to bring our sorrow, but we make a space here to bring our hope, to find forgiveness perhaps where we need to find forgiveness. We make a space to find here peace where we need to find peace. Through it all, hopefully we make a space here to be held in love. Words of writer Mark Nepo. My teacher appeared to me in the midst of my grief for him. I was on a bench in a park in the city. Buses were coughing by and small shops were opening. And since my teacher no longer has hands, he swept a bird in my face to break up my sadness. And since he no longer has a mouth, the light off the windows, 20 stories up, drifted through the leaves. I said, I miss you. And I thought I heard him say, do everything while you're here. Then it began to mist through this, though the sun was shining, as if the universe were crying at what it does to us in order to keep going. Just then, a child lost a ball. It bounced my way. Now my teacher was in the bounce, and I thought I heard him say, enough of this. Pick up that ball and live. And so may we carry them forward with us. May they, in all our days, abide with us. Hear now the litany of names of those in our congregation, in our larger community, and in our world we have lost this year. We name them in love. May those we have known and loved abide with us here in our grieving and in our loving.
Ferried cherry, Lisa Blacker, Margaret Casey, John Stoyanov, Sylvia Roach-Smith, Daniel Johannes Beatre, Jeanette Theresia von Pletzen, Karen Braucher Tobin,
Jim Clare, Joe Roberts, Jean Palmisano, Helen Warbington, Cebulski, Francis Sufre Duncan, Richard Clayton Llewellyn,
Vincent Craig, Tom Vinson, Gail Phillips, Mary Rankin, Ray Dykes, Dave Perea, Victoria Prentice, Aggie Grosser, Karen Kovich,
Joanne Booth, Tom Vincent, Charlotte Moses, Rodney Nelson, Veronica Materell, Blair Bonney, Rowan Schatzer, Mona Warner,
Carol Wolf, Roger Vinson, Ann Mason, Janice Basford, Valerie and Dawn, Arnie Plotkin, Thomas Barry Sutton, Betty Pingle,
Lynn Knox, Ruth Unger, Forrest Vinson, Pete Walker, Bob Lang, Ronald Atkins, Marjorie, Tom Florin Columbus, Rosie Daly,
Dick Grant, Miriam Ostroff, Matt Madigan, Donald Deaton, Carolyn Buell, Peggy Bridges, Matthew Perry, Thomas Hackard,
Laura Good, Mason Van Buren, Roger Juntunen, Deanne A. Beatrice Lori Michele, Carol Hinton,
Andrew Dorn, Robert L. Harper, Andrea Brennicke, Marjorie Sheehy, Arnie Picard, Yakov Bergman, Mary Ann McCammon, Dorothy Coring,
Brenda Bell, Dan Okrasinski, Don Salazar, Sharon Emmons, Dottie Ross, David Parker, Lois Elaine McClatchy, Richard Perry,
Josiah Wise, Fernando de la Fuente, Lev Kotia Jonaru, Bill Watson, Albert McNeil, Leanne Johnson, James Alfred Hobart, John Urbanowski,
Ken Ford, Heather Duncan, Cutie Pie Rosalind, Daniel Roddy Houston, Elliot Scott, George Gilman, Ethel Weber Burney, Yolbonsi Charles Johnson,
Ed Dobbs, Linda Paston, Van Marin, Wayne Shorter, Charlie Gold, Roberta Rice Lechner, Milan Kundera, Barry Humphreys,
Catherine Burks Brooks, Patricia Schroeder, Gordon Lightfoot, Richard Roundtree, Andre
Walter Darcel Cole, Harry Belafonte, Barbara Walters, Steve Peters, Pele, Tony Bennett, Diane Feinstein, Tina Turner,
As the choir offers this next section of the Requiem, I invite you to come forward in silence as you are moved to light a candle of remembrance for those in your lives who are gone. You can also come up after the service to light a candle if you prefer that.
Amen.
Let's hold silence for a few moments now together. Will you? Let's rise in body and in spirit and join in our responsive reading. We remember them. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now part of us as we remember them. Let's join now in our closing hymn, Let the Life I've Lived. In our living, in our dying, may we bring all of those who have gone before us with us. May they abide with us. As we have been blessed, may we be blessings. This is the day we've been given. Let us rejoice in it and be glad. Go in peace, good people. Practice love. Amen.